All right, I'm ready whenever you are.
How has the first week been?
First week's been good. We were right at a week today as far as being out and our guys being active, being together. Good to see the group on both sides of the ball working as hard as they are. It's August in Dallas, so it's warm, and no matter what time you're out there, that's an acclimation process. And I think our guys are doing a good job in that regard. And then, just trying to fill out this team, right? Who are we individually? Who are we collectively? And putting together the best product that's going to help us move forward. So, very encouraging, very exciting with the year and the start so far.
Are there any surprises so far for you out of your group?
Um, William Nettles is practicing well year two. You would hope that's the case. Your second year in the program. I think he's confident. I think the work that he did with our strength staff in the off season has really shown up. His physicality, his ability to hold the weight that he's gained. I think that's something that's uh, different for a freshman in year one, right? Weight gain and the weight lift. No matter if you're at a high profile high school or not, that just is a different portion of things. And so now coming into year two, I think he's understanding, what he does well, what he can do well, and he's been able to display that. So I've been pleased to see that with him. Our young guys challenge at a high clip, man. They're a confident group. Their expectation is to compete, is to be out there, and when they're out there, it shows. And that's on both sides of the ball. To be honest with you, we're speaking specifically about the corners and the defensive backs, but I would say the same for our young wide receivers. That group is fun to compete against, just like I think our group on the other side is fun to watch compete with them. And so I've been encouraged with that. I think the other guys that have been here, you kind of have seen and have a good feel for who they are, and just look for continued improvement on a daily basis.
What have you seen from the nickel position so far in fall camp?
That's a fun battle right now, right? You got Lamontra Spencer, we call Fat, uh, or goes by Fat. We have Jay Miller Jones, and then you have Kyron Chambers. All three guys are getting first team reps at some point in time. All three guys have done some things really well and had some bright spots. All three guys have things that they need to continue to work on. And that's what you want. Year three, and a team that's coming back with high hopes, with high expectations. You want battles like that, and that battle is fun to watch. You know, I don't know if I can say one guy has had this many days better than the other or anything like that. They're all still digesting the defense. Kyron probably, you know, being here the longest, has a knowledge of it, but it's got to continue to be consistent. Jaden is probably one of the more athletic guys that we have on the team, period. And so that's been on display. And, he's got position versatility as well. And then fact, and he's doing everything full speed. You can tell that he's matured in our defense and matured from spring to now. And so to see that, has been exciting. And like I said, that's a fun battle to continue to watch. Nobody's ahead in that race. So everybody's going to have to wait until probably August 30th to see who that's going to be.
Got some veteran guys back. What kind of growth have you seen from them? Guys like Deuce,
Yep.
Jalen. What are you expecting?
Smoke's been awesome as far as that goes. Like, not often or not always in this profession do you get to have somebody come in as a freshman and you get to see them until they're a senior. You know what I mean? Whether this day and age of the transfer world or, different opportunities that we get as coaches. And so, man, it's really, fun to watch his growth. Um, just the way he comes in the building now as compared to year one, the way he competes now. Uh, he's a guy that we're just very comfortable with when he is out there, and knowing that he's going to compete at a high level. He has an understanding of the defense and he executes at a high level as well. Deuce has just continued on the path from when he came in the door. I think it's well documented that he and I were at odds when he came in, and I wasn't sure if he was the right fit. He's the right fit for sure. He's kind of taking ownership of the room. He's the old man, of the room as well. And then, as a coach, you also value that because he's able to give feedback to the young guys. He's still learning, he's still growing. But they can look to him, and depend on him for some of those things. When we're in walkthrough, I'll flow back and forth on each side, but one of those guys is responsible for what's getting going, explained and coached on that side. The other is responsible for the other side. And so I just come in and I get able to give fillers, but they know if I'm not over there, you need to be talking to Zay Gentry. You need to be talking to Jay Holly. Make sure that they understand exactly what the expectation is in this particular call or our defense overall.
With Marcellus, just as far as his development goes, since you didn't have him really in the spring, where does that put him in as far as learning the defense, picking things up? Like, how comfortable is he from what you've seen?
Being here in the spring, even though he wasn't able to practice, he still has a grasp of what we're doing. But our game is about being able to get out on the grass and do it too. And so, him being able to do that, and he's an athletic guy, like extremely athletic, very quick twitch, good feet. Has a knack for the football when it's in the air. Made a really good play a couple of days ago on a pick, and so he brings that flash in the back end to us. I think it's one that challenges the other guys, right? I think that's why Will Nettles is practicing well, because we competing against each other right now. I know coaches say we compete as a team, and we do, but individually in each room, you're competing to be the guy. You're competing against each other, offense and defense, and with each other, right? Because we got to take care of each other. And so, you see he's a very competitive guy as well. He is still year 2 of his college career, and I think that's probably what I've realized the most is that he still only has a limited knowledge of college football. Not that he's not going to have a vast or able to have a vast, but we can't just assume he's going to know and do things like a second or third year player because he's not played second year yet. You know what I mean? And so his growth is good. Try to be hard on him right now, and I think he's been able to see that the expectation is for you to come here and compete at a high level. Like, we didn't bring you here to stand next to us. We brought you here to be on the grass and to improve this secondary, and he's definitely up for the challenge.
And just to round out, you talked about the older guys helping out the freshmen in the room. Just what have you seen from the freshmen so far?
Like I said, they compete like crazy. They are confident, and it's not a quiet confidence. Some of it is verbal, and some of it is very outspoken, which you like, especially at our position, right? It's my responsibility to regulate and manage the room, right? And make sure that they learn and understand, and I teach and coach. But they have an expectation to bring that edge, to bring that competitive fire, to bring that playmaking ability to the forefront. I tell them to make mistakes at 100 miles an hour because it's my responsibility to fix it. You know what I mean? What you don't want to do is try to be encouraging them to go 100 miles an hour or harder or faster. And so I love that. They got some growing up to do in the room, but it's also funny and fun to watch. I think it takes me probably about a minute or two to get the room settled so we can start our meetings. Most of the time that's Zay Gentry that's getting everybody going. But you like that, right? They come in, they be our older guys have welcomed them. They feel a part right now. And they feel that they can factor into this team right now. It's up to them to show us that, and it'll be a matter of time to tell if that's going to happen or not.
Defensively, with the guys you guys lost, does that help in terms of this is a relatively new-ish defense, even though you guys have some of the key pieces back, like as far as, hey, you've got to like show everybody that you can do what you did last year again.
Yes, we are extremely, or I shouldn't say extreme. We are talented. Okay, very talented. That talent has come with, in some areas, some inexperience, right? So now what we got to do is take the experienced guys and get them in a position where they're leaders and they're vocal. And I think we have that, right? You have Xavier Kobe, you have Ahmad Moses, Alexander Kilgore, Cam Robertson, right? Those guys are going to set the tone. Okay, and now it's taking the inexperience of the guys who have the high talent ceiling and making sure that they get valuable reps. You're going to line up against Jordan Hudson and Romello Brinson on the outside corner, right? You're going to see two of the best. in our conference, possibly nationally. You're going to see, like I talked about, the talented freshman class on the outside that we line up against. So inexperience in game, we'll get to that point, but inexperience as far as the reps and the guys that you're competing against, I think we'll feel really good, when we come out of these, next couple weeks going into game one with who we've been able to match up against and who we've been able to sharpen our blade against. And I think that'll help us, again, continue to be confident, but also being in position to make plays that'll help us throughout the course of the season.
You mentioned Jordan and Romello. What have you seen from some of the wide receiver newcomers, as you guys match up against them?
Carterius Brown catch any ball you throw at it. It don't matter where you throw it, how you throw it, or whatever. He has one of the more impressive catch radiuses that I've seen in a young man in college football. We had a guy at Liberty named Antonio Gandy Gold that he kind of reminds me of, and he can really go get the ball. So that's been impressive. Zay Robertson is a specimen as far as from a physical standpoint, and he's done a good job of being able to make some flash plays. I think he's doing a better job these last couple of days of making the consistent plays as well. And then Coop is fun to watch. You know what I mean? He's quiet, competitive, quiet confidence, but he runs routes well, does some of the little things well, and obviously we saw him throughout the spring really grow up and grow into being able to compete with some of those older guys. You get Link on the field, we'll see what he is and what he brings to the table. And so it's been fun. It's really, really exciting to see Dalen Singleton obviously can run by anybody probably on the field at the D1 level. And so that helps us just as much as going out and getting those reps, having real live dudes that you're practicing against. And so, our goal is for them to have real live dudes that they're practicing against on the opposite side. We want them to come off the field and feel like they see a competitive group that competes at a high clip. Because I'll make sure I give them their praise in here. I'm on their tail when we're on the field. Both sides, offensive and defensive. So
you can't plan for everything, but you can be ready for anything. That's where we come in. Northwest Insurance Agency covers the wait, what? Moments in life with real coverage, real people, and real fast help. We offer sombrero-style coverage that protects your possessions, your loved ones, and everything else that fits under a sombrero. Call us today for a quote at 855-887-5656 or visit us at nwagencies.com.
This is the On the Pony Express podcast, part of the On3 network. Check out all the SMU coverage you need at ontheponyexpress.com. Now, here's your host, Billy Embody.
1, 2, 3, let we go.